Hi, welcome to my podcast page review. In this podcast page review, I'm going to share with you practically everything you need to know about podcast page. As for you to know whether this is actually a great podcast website builder or whether it's just another one out there that needs to be completely avoided, you get to know all of that in this podcast page review. So basically, in this podcast page review, I'll be sharing with you what podcast page is all about, what they stand for, what they've got in stock for you, and what you are most likely to get from using podcast page. Podcast page. You also get to see who can use podcast page, and most importantly, what they've got in stock for you. And also, you also get to see the pros and the cons of using podcast page. You get to see the interesting side of using this podcast website builder, and as well as the bad side, because for everything that has a good side, if you observe very carefully, you will definitely find a bad side as well, which I'm going to share with you in the course of this podcast page review. So you also get to see the pricing plans across various plans, as they've got different pricing plans, and each of their plans has their own unique peculiarities as to their features, as to their capacity, as to their own individual significance. So it's very, very important for you to ensure to keep to the end of this podcast page review, so you won't miss the most important information you need to have about podcast page. All in this podcast page review. You also get to see what other active users of podcast page, what they are currently saying about podcast page out there. That is, it does not necessarily have to be what I say alone. You have the opportunity to hear from other existing users of podcast page out there and hear their own opinion as to what podcast page is to them based on their own personal experiences. Also, you also get to see my own final opinion as to what podcast page is. This is exactly where you get to see whether podcast page is actually a great website builder for podcaster, or whether it's just another one out there that needs to be completely avoided. You get to know all of that in this podcast page review. So it's very, very important for you to ensure that you keep to the end of this podcast page review, so you will miss the most important information that you need to have about it. So let's go. So what is podcast page? Podcast page is actually a podcast website builder that allows you to create your own podcast website in almost an instant by making use of existing templates that have been put on the platform to build your own podcast website. So it's solely a podcast website builder that allows you to build highly functional podcast website. You can see what we have on their home page. They said launch your podcast website in minutes. Podcast page is the best website builder you've been looking for. Grow your podcast, save time, and increase your show visibility without having to code. So basically, it's something that allows you to create your own podcast website without having to go through the stress of doing all of those stress that comes with building a website. Because with the drag and drop feature, you can always create your podcast website. So if you're a podcaster, this is a kind of tool that you can actually use to create your own podcast website seamlessly. So now let's go. So what are the interesting side of using a podcast page? The first thing I have here is the fact that a podcast page allows you to easily create beautiful and highly functional podcast websites. That is, as opposed to the traditional website building. This is solely and primarily for building a podcast website, highly functional. So it allows you to get that done. And also, this is going to save you from the stress of adding episodes manually, as a podcast page helps you do that automatically. That is, you don't have to go through the manual stress of uploading episodes and the likes. With the aid of podcast page, is going to help you get that done automatically. So there's a lot of automation. And also, another interesting thing about podcast page is the fact that they've got highly customizable templates that you can easily modify to your own taste. That is, there are templates you can get started with. You can just fix in certain things and you are up and running. So it's highly customizable. Even for the audio player too, it's highly customizable. You can make it you can customize it to suit your own intention and to your own taste. And also, podcast page is cost efficient, as you don't have to pay for any maintenance, host, as opposed to the traditional website that is you don't have to pay this monthly or yearly host fee or any maintenance fee to any web designer of any kind. So it's going to save you a lot of money, honestly. And also our podcast page is SEO friendly, which will give you a better chance of ranking on search engines, which is definitely going to increase your website, your podcast website visibility, and which is an edge for your business to increase your engagement, because the system is designed to be SEO friendly. And also they've also got great customer support. Podcast page has got a great customer support. One thing I keep saying and I won't stop saying is this: I will never use any tool that does not offer great customer support, because any new tool you are introduced to, there's a tendency that you may experience one or two issues, or you may encounter one or two problems in the course of using, and the customer support is not there to help you out. Then in that case it's not worth it. Because in the case of this, they've got great customer support across all their communication channel, and they are always willing to help you and help you solve your problem when the need arises. Another interesting thing about podcast page is the fact that podcast page is super easy to use with the drag and drop feature, and it's going to save you a lot of stress. It's going to make everything seamless for you. And also they've got a lot of integrations with so many favorite tools out there: MailChimp, YouTube, and most major favorite tools out there that you can easily integrate with your website so as to better your workflow. Now let's go to the bad side. When it comes to podcast page, the only thing I can say is the fact that it can be better. Anything that appears to be great can actually be better than what it is. Most especially in the area of templates, a podcast page can actually make sure they add more templates, so they can make it so they can give choices to users, so they can make it better when it comes to the issue of templates. They can add more templates to make in order to make a lot of templates available for users, so we can have better choices. Also, now let's go to the pricing plan. The barest minimum you can ever get started with the podcast page is around $12 per month, and that's the barest minimum, as they've got the podcaster plan, the business plan, and the enterprise plan. At the time of making this review, the barest minimum you can ever get started with around $12 per month, and each of these plans has their own unique peculiarities as to what they can handle, as to their strength, as to the level at which they can handle, as to their capacity. That's why it's very, very important for you to see the one that will serve your own intention the best. And that's why it's very, very important for you to click on the link right in this video description now. You'll be able to see the full pricing for the various packages they've got, the offers and the discount that comes with each of them, most importantly their capabilities. Like I said, the barest minimum you can ever get started will start from around $12 per month, and each of these plans has their own unique peculiarities as to what they allow you to do, as to what you can do with them. That's why it's very, very important for you to click on the link right in this video description now. They'll be able to see the full pricing for the various packages and the offers and discount that comes with each of them, most importantly their capabilities. So now let's get to hear from other active users of our podcast page. This is a user. This was a super product for creating sites and for our podcast and clients. When it was asked what he likes best about podcast page, he said, we use it for 3 of our own podcasts and love using it so much that we also manage our client's website on it. He said the solution saves so much time managing the website. He said it's amazing. When it was asked what he disliked, he said could use a few more templates or more design options. He said we create over 5 sites with this solution. We use different themes and design, but we could use more pre-built option. This person is also seeking for more templates. So basically that's that on that. He said it's a super product for creating sites for our podcast for our podcast and also our clients. So he said it's such a great platform for him as well. Now let's go to another person. This person this is Howard. He said Podcastpage is a multifunctional podcast website builder that will suit beginners to site building and individual podcasters with a minimum requirement in the first place. Is that the platform offers practically everything you might need to create a perfect podcast website. That's another user talking about how it's a great one to create a perfect podcast website. Now let's go to what I personally feel about Podcastpage. In my own opinion, based on my personal experience with Podcastpage, I would say Podcastpage has actually got a great tool that is reasonably easy to use. It allows you to build highly functional podcast websites. It also allows you to automate a lot of podcast processes which you may not find with ordinary with other website builders. And it also allows you to get started almost instantly with your highly customizable templates. And it's going to get you the best out of your effort by exponentially enhancing your podcast engagement and its visibility. And as such, it's going to help you turn your business around. You're able to make more money from your business And interestingly, it's also crowned with amazing customer support. One thing I keep saying is this: I love great customer support so much, and they've also got a 14-day free trial where you can test out within 14 days. If you love it, you can keep using. If you don't, you can decide to discontinue. So you are safe with a Podcastpage. I will say again, Podcastpage is actually worth it because they serve the primary function of a meaningful podcast site builder out there. So with what I've said, if you think our Podcastpage is something you want to give a trial, you want to test it out, you want to see what Podcastpage is capable of doing, you want to try it out, you want to check out what Podcastpage can actually do for you, well, right in this video description, there's a special link right there. Once you click on that special link, you'll be able to get started with Podcastpage at a very unusual discounted price that you're not going to find elsewhere. That is to enjoy all of what Podcastpage has put in place for you, to try them out, to see what they are capable of doing. Well, right in this video description, there's a special link right there. Once you click on that special link, you'll be able to get started with Podcastpage at a very unusual discounted price that you're not going to find elsewhere. On that note, I want to say thanks for watching my Podcastpage review. If you found any value in this video, ensure to like and subscribe to this channel. And if you have any question as regards Podcastpage, you can make use of the comment box below to ask your questions. I'm going to look into it and see if something I can answer. Once again, don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel to keep enjoying similar videos like this on other helpful tools out there that can take your business to the next level. On that note, I want to say thanks for watching my Podcastpage review, and I hope to see your business at the top. Bye for now.